Most men talk far more than they build. They talk about plans. They talk about discipline. They talk about the man they are becoming. They talk about what they will do when the timing is right, when motivation hits, when life settles down, and years pass. Talking feels productive because it creates the illusion of movement. It sounds intelligent. It earns validation, but nothing changes. Work is quieter. Work does not announce itself. Work does not explain. It either happens or it doesn't. This is the uncomfortable truth most men avoid. Masculinity is not proven by opinions, self-awareness, or intention. It is proven by output, by consistency, by doing the work even when no one is impressed. A real man is not loud, he is effective. Men don't fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they refuse discomfort. 1. Talking is a safe substitute for action. Many men confuse articulation with progress. They believe that if they can explain their problems clearly, analyze their patterns deeply, or talk through their struggles intelligently, they are already halfway to solving them. This belief is comforting and completely false. Talking creates relief without requiring effort. You vent to a friend. You share your frustration online. You explain your plans out loud. The pressure leaves your chest for a moment. The mind feels lighter, but the problem itself remains untouched, unchanged, and unchallenged. This is where the trap forms. The brain rewards expression with relief, so the man repeats it. Instead of lifting the weight, he talks about lifting the weight. Instead of fixing his finances, he discusses financial discipline. Instead of changing his routine, he explains why his routine is broken. Over time, a man who talks too much about his plans slowly replaces action with explanation. He begins to believe that awareness is the same as discipline, that understanding is the same as execution. It is not. Awareness without execution does not move life forward, it freezes it. Stagnation often looks intelligent. It uses the right words, it sounds thoughtful, but beneath the language, nothing is happening. Progress only begins when talking stops and effort starts. Explanation is not effort. 2. Yapping keeps men comfortable and unaccountable. Talking allows a man to stay in comfort while feeling engaged. He can discuss discipline without practicing it. He can debate responsibility without carrying it. He can speak about growth without enduring discomfort. Yapping preserves comfort because no real risk is taken, no energy is spent, no ego is challenged. Words are safe. Work is not. When a man talks instead of acts, nothing is on the line. There are no consequences. No results to face. No proof required. This is why excessive talking feels attractive. It delays accountability. Accountability only appears when work begins. The moment a man commits to action, reality responds. Results expose effort. Output reveals discipline. There is no place to hide. Men who stay comfortable for too long eventually become frustrated. Not because life is unfair, but because they never demanded anything difficult from themselves. A man who stays comfortable stays unfinished. 3. Work reveals character. Talk hides it. Anyone can speak well. Very few can endure repetition. Anyone can sound confident for an hour, a day, even a year. Very few can show up daily when the work is boring, lonely, and unrewarded. Talking allows a man to curate an image. He can choose the right words, the right tone, the right explanations. Work does not allow this. Work exposes patience, consistency, humility, and endurance. It reveals whether a man can tolerate discomfort without drama, delay gratification without resentment, and continue even when no one is impressed. This is why work is uncomfortable for many men. It strips away the ability to hide behind language. You cannot negotiate with a routine. You cannot convince effort with excuses. Either the work gets done or it does not. A man can sound disciplined for years without ever becoming disciplined. Words allow image without substance. He can talk about grind, consistency, and ambition while privately avoiding repetition. Work destroys that illusion because results are honest. They cannot be argued with. This is why real growth feels lonely. When you stop talking and start working, the audience disappears. There is no feedback loop, no reassurance, no validation, only effort and silence. And in that silence, character is revealed. Not the character a man wants to be seen as, but the one he actually is. Work removes the mask. 4. Men overthink because they don't move. Overthinking is often laziness in disguise, not physical laziness, but psychological avoidance. When men delay action, the mind has nothing to anchor itself to. Thoughts begin to loop. Doubt grows, scenarios multiply. Every possible outcome is analyzed except the one that matters. Doing the work. Fear feels intelligent when a man is idle. It dresses itself up as caution, planning, or strategy. But most overthinking is not wisdom. It is the mind trying to stay comfortable while avoiding effort. Movement changes this immediately. Action grounds the mind in reality. When a man moves his body, engages a task, or starts the work he has been avoiding, the noise quiets down. Clarity follows motion, not contemplation. This is why men who work consistently think more clearly than men who talk constantly. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates adjustment. Adjustment creates progress. A man who waits to feel ready will think forever. A man who moves learns quickly. A moving man thinks clearly. 5. Discipline is built by doing, not deciding. Decisions feel powerful because they are clean, instant, and emotionally rewarding. The moment a man decides to change, his mind experiences relief. It feels like progress has already begun. But discipline is not built in that moment. Discipline is built afterward, in the hours and days when the excitement fades. Many men celebrate decisions prematurely. They announce them. They talk about the new routine, the new goal, the new version of themselves. They seek validation before effort. This is dangerous because validation tricks the brain into thinking the work has already been done. Discipline does not respond to intention. It responds to repetition. It grows only when decisions are honored repeatedly, especially when motivation is absent. Waking up when you said you would. Training when you don't feel like it. Doing the task you promised yourself you would finish. This is why most men fail after strong starts. They rely on the emotional high of deciding instead of the unglamorous grind of doing. When the feeling disappears, so does the effort. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is a record of behavior. Consistency is louder than commitment. 6. Real men work without an audience. When the applause disappears, most men stop. This reveals an uncomfortable truth. Much of what men call ambition is actually performance. An audience provides energy. Recognition provides motivation. Praise provides momentum. But none of these last. The moment attention fades, effort often fades with it. This is why many men struggle to sustain progress once the novelty wears off. Real work continues in silence. It happens when no one is watching, no one is encouraging, and no one is impressed. It is done without updates, without explanations, and without the expectation of reward. A man who needs recognition will never last because his effort depends on external fuel. When that fuel is removed, discipline collapses. A man who works without an audience builds internal strength. His motivation comes from self-respect, not approval. Integrity is proven in the absence of witnesses. It shows up in quiet repetition, unseen effort, and consistency without applause. Integrity works even when unseen. 7. Talk creates ego. Work creates identity. Ego grows through words. Identity forms through action. This difference is subtle, but it changes everything. When a man talks too much about who he is or who he is becoming, he starts building an image instead of a foundation. Words inflate self-perception without requiring proof. He begins to feel competent, disciplined, and capable before he has earned any of it. The ego grows fat on language. This is dangerous because ego feels like confidence but behaves like fragility. The man becomes attached to how he sees himself rather than what he actually does. Any challenge that threatens that image feels personal. Any failure feels like an attack, so he avoids situations where reality might expose the gap. Work does the opposite. Work grounds identity in reality. It removes imagination and replaces it with evidence. You do not need to convince yourself who you are when your actions prove it daily. Identity becomes stable because it is built on repetition, not opinion. Men who work consistently rarely need to talk about themselves. Their sense of self is quiet and firm. They know who they are because they have lived it, not because they have described it. You become what you repeat. 8. Men avoid work because it strips excuses. Work leaves no room to hide. This is precisely why many men avoid it. Discussion allows flexibility. Excuses can be adjusted. Intentions can be reframed, but work produces results, and results are brutally honest. They show exactly how much effort was applied and where standards truly are. When a man works, he cannot blame timing, mood, or circumstances for long. Output exposes reality. If progress is slow, the reason becomes clear. This level of honesty is uncomfortable for men who are attached to their explanations. Endless discussion feels safer because it preserves ego. A man can sound intelligent, thoughtful, and ambitious without risking exposure. Work threatens that comfort by demanding proof. This is why many men stay stuck in planning, talking, and theorizing, not because they lack ability, but because work removes the last place to hide. Results don't negotiate. 9. Work builds self-respect quietly. Self-respect does not come from confidence tricks, affirmations, or self-talk. It does not come from convincing yourself that you are capable. It comes from evidence. A man begins to respect himself when he keeps his word to himself, especially in moments where breaking it would be easy and consequence-free. When no one is watching, when no one would know, when excuses would go unchallenged. Every time a man does the work he promised himself he would do, something small but important happens internally. Trust is restored. Inner authority strengthens. He no longer needs to hype himself up or pretend confidence. Confidence becomes a byproduct, not a performance. This is why self-respect grows quietly. There is no announcement, no external validation, just a steady accumulation of proof. Over time, the man stops questioning himself because his actions have answered the question already. Work is what turns intention into credibility. Without it, self-belief is fragile. With it, belief becomes unnecessary. A man trusts himself after he proves himself. 10. Real men let their life speak. Mature masculinity does not explain itself, defend itself, or announce itself. It does not argue. It does not seek recognition. It simply operates. A real man shows up consistently. He handles responsibility without complaint. He produces results without noise. His life answers questions his mouth never needs to. When a man lets his life speak, words become unnecessary. There is no need to justify effort or advertise discipline. The outcomes are visible. The consistency is felt. The respect is earned naturally. This is the final shift from needing to be heard to being undeniable. From talking about who you are to living in a way that makes explanation redundant. Let results introduce you. On a final note, if this feels uncomfortable, that is the point. Comfort has been telling you stories for a long time. It has convinced you that thinking counts as progress, that planning is the same as building, and that talking about change is close enough to changing. It is not. You don't need more motivation. Motivation fades. You don't need more clarity. You already know what to do. You don't need more conversations. Conversations end where effort should begin. What you need is fewer words and more work. Work will not flatter you. It will not hype you up. It will not wait until you feel ready. Work will expose you, humble you, and force you to confront who you really are. And that is exactly why it works. Be a real man at least once. Not in theory. Not in conversation. In action. Stop yapping, start working. Because in the end, no amount of talking will ever replace the quiet authority of results. The work will finish what talk never could.